Welcome everyone to the 5th weekly Dragon Cast. I'm actually really proud of us for getting 5 weeks in a row. We have yet to miss a week. Obviously, I'm Zeon, and with me is...
Hello, it's Gabby. It's Mozilla Vulpix. I don't know actually what you guys call me. I call myself Gabby. Sometimes I call myself Mozilla Vulpix, but I often don't. Anyway, enough about me. Let's not talk about nicknames. Let's talk about the Dragon Cast. We are here.
Yes.
We're here for another episode. Exciting episode, and it actually is an exciting episode because we are getting into the actual, the first ever tournament in Dragon Ball. So, we're getting into martial arts action, and things are kind of changed, and it's very interesting.
Martial arts in my gag series? How could it be? Yeah.
I could almost imagine, people being really upset suddenly at this change of tone, being like, I thought it was supposed to be this kind of series. Why is it suddenly shifting to a completely different genre? But probably not, because kids are kids and they like watching people punch people, so they probably will actually prefer this.
Yeah, because, it's not like, it's... Because I feel like Dragon Ball's shift into action is so gradual. Like each arc takes itself just a little bit more seriously. It gets a little bit darker. Really, until like Piccolo Daimao, I feel, is when it really starts shifting into, oh, we've gotten into really dark, mature territory here, and it doesn't really I don't think it really gets. Oh, okay. The Trunk stuff is pretty dark and edgy, but even that, I feel like it never quite gets as dark as, say, the Piccolo Daimao arc with him just taking over the world and just wiping out cities and stuff. That's the first time we ever started seeing things on a scale. Right now, we're still in the kind of light, fun, happy territory of Goku and Kuririn. They just want to be the best martial arts guys they can be.
Basically, yeah. There's nothing. Yeah. There's no fate of the world in danger. In fact, there is no indication that the fate of the world ever will be in danger. It's just fun. We are right now in the smack bang middle of probably one of the only ever training sequences that we get to see on screen.
Yeah, oh my god. I always want to say, this is one of my absolute favorite training arcs. Right? This is probably, I'm going to say, this is my favorite training arc. I love the Muten Roshi, how he structures everything. I feel like we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, though, because, I did want to bring up, but before, they start going full swing into the training, just how this episode opens. Because it opens with a little bit of filler, with Lunch, tucking Goku in, and I like that kind of little motherly element to her. It gives her kind of this warm kindness to her character that I don't feel gets shown too often. I mean, she's never shown as a bitch or anything, but she's always just kind of... She's so ditzy and so odd that just to see a little bit more of her personality show through, I think is really nice. And she has this moment, before she goes to bed, where she kind of talks about, it's I wonder why it is that, I sneeze when, I sneeze and I change and I become this other person. And it's kind of this nice little introspection on her. I kind of wish we got more of that, because, the manga proper never even gives us a moment where we get to see, what Launch feels about her own predicament. Other than she's just oh man, I guess I robbed the bank again. Oops. So here, just seeing that.
And I mean, also there's also no explanation, of course, for Lunch and why Lunch is like that. I mean, okay, I guess you don't really need an explanation. It's not like that's a big deal, especially in this part of the story. But it's just so weird because by the end of the story, pretty much everything weird, unusual about the world kind of gets sort of explained away. But with Lunch, that never really happens. Lunch just changes personality and changes appearance when she sneezes. And that's pretty much all she has to her. That's all of her.
Yeah, that is the entirety of her character. It's kind of weird because, I adore Lunch as a character. I really find, her endearing when she's, kind of cutesy and stuff. And then, when she goes into, crazy rage mode. I find her kind of a fun character for some fun antics. But, yeah, she just never becomes anything other than, these two things. She's either, adorable or she's just, a violence gag. And they never do much with her. Oh, and then she becomes a Tenshinhan love interest, and by love interest, she's more crazy yandere who just chases him around.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to say that, there is one good thing that I do kind of like that Lunch actually brings to this entire story, and that is kind of like, it does give the Muten Roshi somebody to ogle over, but it also means that, like, she's somebody who can both sort of take what he does and also not take it at all. In that, like, it kind of ends up sort of being this sort of karma moments for him, where it's just like he'll go and try to find lunch, and then suddenly lunch is like lunch suddenly like sneezes and then turns into a violent form and then starts shooting him. So it's kind of like means that it stops him from going too far. But that's kind of like, for me, that's like kind of the extent of lunch's importance as a character, and she's there to make food, I guess, for the boys, because that's it.
Yeah.
We talked about lunch. Lunch is lunch. Like, she's not even really that important. Even within this arc, by this point, that they have more important things to talk about.
Yeah, no, like this is her introductory arc. This is the most important she will ever be, and she's not important at all. You could cut her from the entire story, and you wouldn't be really missing a thing except for a few laughs. Also, okay, so this episode starts, like, once it, gets past, like, cute little filler moment, like, the Muten Roshi goes to wake Goku up, Goku sleeps with lunch, Kuririn sleeps with the Muten Roshi, and the Muten Roshi is, like, going upstairs to wake them up. And he sees that it's violent lunch. So he's just, like, trying to, like, very casually try to poke Goku awake, and he wakes lunch up immediately. And she goes full violence mode, and Goku, without missing a beat, just kicks her right in the goddamn head. Knocks her the fuck out.
Yeah, I always found that so weird. I mean, what it did remind me of is, obviously this is something that happened later, but there was one line in Yu Yu Hakusho where Yusuke is basically just like, I don't show no mercy to anyone, whether they be women or children or anything. So, and it's kind of like, yeah, it's like Goku's not particularly chivalrous right now. He just knocked lunch out. It was weird. It's just a weird moment, and yeah.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, like, I think it's kind of funny because that is just Goku. Like, no, he doesn't care. Like he doesn't differentiate women from men in any kind of way socially. He's just like, oh, you just hurt me. You're being violent. I'm gonna just knock you the fuck out. So then he just knocks her the fuck out, and it's. Like, it's just like a nice little Goku moment of just, no, Goku, you're not special. Goku isn't gonna take your shit. So I actually really like that scene. I don't like what's followed up with it, though, where the Muten Roshi tries to fondle her while she's passed out. That's terrible.
Oh, yeah, no, let's not make I don't know, End of Evangelion jokes or something, which I haven't even watched. I haven't even seen End of Evangelion. Actually, never mind. Just
I'm not saying. Well, thing is, so End of Evangelion's like a completely different thing. Where, because like End of Evangelion, that was like this dark introspective moment for Shinji's character. And he doesn't even touch Asuka. He just jerks off over her comatose body, which is still terrible.
Okay, why are we? Yeah, I feel like I shouldn't have brought this up because this totally has no place in Dragon Ball. Anyway, because
no, it's okay. But yeah, no, but when the Muten Roshi does it in this scene, it's just. Like, no, like he's literally just going to take advantage of a blacked out woman. Like, she's completely passed out, she is defenseless, and he's just going to fondle her body, and that's terrible. It's a really shitty thing for his character at that moment, and the only reason he stops is that Goku is just staring at him like, well, what are you doing to her, bro? But yeah, no, I just wanted to get that one out of my system, because that is like one of like the last really terrible Muten Roshi moments in terms of him just being a horrible pervert up until I think Dragon Ball Super rolls around. So yeah, like I don't think he ever gets that trashy throughout the rest of the series. So, but yeah, let's move past all that terrible Muten Roshi pervertedness and training. That's something that happens, and it's way more uplifting and fun and great. And
yeah, basically,
I love the Muten Roshi's training regimen for like these guys. It's like this whole episode is literally just them delivering milk, and it's kind of like this Mr. Miyagi moment where it's just like, oh yeah, like wax on, wax off, paint the fence, all that stuff. But like you don't really understand like what's the point of all of this. Like, oh well, you guys need to get stronger. So to get them stronger, he just has them do all this like menial labor that is actually building up their endurance and all of this other things, like getting them faster, getting them stronger in little ways. And, like, they're not appreciating it now, but they will by the end, and it's great stuff.
You know, I was thinking that the training reminded me of something, but yeah, it's the Mr. Miyagi thing. It's they do something that seems kind of mundane, but it's actually really helpful. And, well, actually, there were a few things also I wanted to mention about the training. I mean, first of all, I really liked Roshi's little speech he has at the beginning when he's, like, ready, they're going to start the training about how, you know, martial arts aren't for winning or for impressing the girls, and it's, you know, it's all about improving yourself and, like, trying to have a fulfilling life and stuff. And it's like, I like this. It also kind of sort of explains the sort of principles that Goku has later on in the series. It's like, no, you're not using martial arts to win. It's not so people can show it. You can show people how cool you are. It's pretty much just for your own self-improvement, so you can be a better person and not for like the gain of anybody else. But yeah, no, it is what's interesting about this training sequence is that, like, it is so mundane, and especially compared to stuff later on in the series, it's so, like, grounded in reality. Like, you could actually feasibly kind of imagine some of this training actually happening to people. Like,
yeah.
Oh, yeah, you're going around and delivering milk. Oh, you're going up a lot of stairs. Like, I can go up a lot of stairs. Obviously not as much as Goku could go up, as many stairs as Goku could go up. You know, I could go upstairs. I mean, I don't think I could, you know, balance on a bridge and, like, you know, run away from dinosaurs and swim from sharks and stuff. But, like, it starts off so surprisingly mundane and so surprisingly, like, everyday.
Yeah. I love so much of this. And just, like, even something as simple as just, like, the milk delivery stuff, where it's just like, okay, we're gonna skip for this many miles. We're gonna, like, zigzag.
Yeah, that's
we're gonna zigzag through these trees. You know, literally just making the course on. We're gonna go up this huge monastery of stairs. And I love just, like, little moments where, they're doing the zigzag thing. And, like, we learn pretty quickly that Kuririn is just, he doesn't have Goku's endurance. He can't really keep up with them. So he's always kind of lagging behind. And, like, when they're doing, like this, like, the skip boo, la, la, la. And you have, like, him and Goku, like, you know, are just kind of having a great time. And then Kuririn's in the back just, skip boo, la, la, la. And then, like, you know, they're doing, like, the zigzag. And Kuririn's just, like, he fell so far behind, he's just gonna, like, try to cheat. So he just goes in a straight line going zigzag, zigzag. And then the Muten Roshi goes like, I don't care if you drop out. He's just like, I won't do it again. And he goes back, and he goes right back to where he had started, and he does it the right way. And, like, he's teaching them in little ways, especially, like, Kuririn, like, discipline and stuff, not taking shortcuts. And, you know, even, like, when they're climbing up the stairs, Goku is now starting to really, like, you know, really starting to, like, get worn down. He isn't as, you know, like, he's starting to show fatigue. And even he starts asking, it's like, oh, can I just use Kintoon to get up here? It's like, it wouldn't be training if you use Kintoon. And he's like, all right. And you know, he's teaching them to really push themselves physically, where before they would just kind of do normal training, like learn to fight, and they would never really push themselves. Here, he's teaching them to push beyond their limits. And it's great stuff. I loved everything here.
Oh, yeah. And I want to say, you know, like, that's what's one of the things also kind of made me I found really interesting. It's that, like, yeah, it seems, the training seems almost kind of mundane, but then it's like, if Goku is getting tired, then clearly it's got to be something really difficult. Or, you know, maybe you could just say it's inconsistent and Goku should be stronger than this based on his real-world feats. Why is he getting tired for going up some stairs when he could punch rocks? And, you know, okay, see, I'm not going to actually say that. When I'm saying that sarcastically. But, like, it's also... Can I just say, this is when Krillin starts, like, going from, like, oh, he's a fun character, to, like... He starts becoming, like, my favorite because, like, he starts getting really, really relatable when he starts lagging behind Goku.
Yes.
Because, like, you know, it's one thing having, like, a character that's, like, really strong and blah, 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 blah. And, like, even Krillin is a character who's really strong and blah, 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 blah. But what makes Krillin relatable and makes him interesting is that, like... in comparison to Goku, he is actually not the best. And it's like, it basically makes him feel like he is so much more believable as a character because he's not always number one in everything. Like, there are people, like, you can relate to that. Like, no matter, even if you can't relate to trying to be the greatest martial artist ever.
But yeah, I totally agree with what you're saying with Kuririn, though. Like, you know, he is really relatable at this portion of the story. And I love the fact that, because, like, with Goku, you get to see like, you know, his endurance, his natural skill and ability, and then you start to see him kind of tire out a bit. With Kuririn, though, you see, like, he's always lagging behind, but he has all that grit and determination to him, and he just isn't, like, he isn't just going to back down. Like, he's always just pushing himself forward, you know, making himself, you know, try to keep up. You know, because he could have quit at any point, but he doesn't. You know, he takes everything. You know, even like I said, like the zigzag thing, where he's falling way behind, and he tries to cheat, and the Muten Roshi catches him. He goes, I won't do it again. And he starts at the back, and he does it the right way. And I love Kuririn's character in this arc. It's such good stuff. And
this is why Krillin's my favorite. Well, actually, there's plenty of other reasons later on. And in fact, he always keeps doing awesome things. But yeah, like I said, Krillin's the relatable one. He is the one where, like, he is not the strongest guy, even from the very start, but he still tries because he still, like, has that still determination, that martial arts determination. Same as Goku. He's just not as crazy or as alien about it, so.
Yeah, no, like, it's... Yeah, he's a great character. He's a great character. I adore him. He's, like I said, in this arc specifically, he is really, really good. But yeah, so one of my other moments that I really liked is, like, you know, Goku, as I mentioned, he gets really fatigued when he's climbing those stairs, and the Muten Roshi starts reminiscing about Gohan and Gyumao doing the same training. It's like, oh, like, you know, your grandpa and Gyumao did, like, the same stuff. And, you know, he starts reminiscing. It's like, kind of this heartwarming moment, but it also, like, it reinvigorates Goku. He goes, oh, like, grandpa did this. Like, I want to be strong like grandpa was. And he keeps pushing himself forward. It's a great little moment. It's a great moment that they share together. And... you know, like he never goes easy on him. He never goes, oh, we're getting tired, let's take a break. No, he just, you know, he says things, he gives them the words that they need to hear at the moment to get them through his training. And I really like that. He's really shown to be a great mentor figure in these episodes. And like he even teaches Goku a little bit of manners when he meets that one temple priest. And he goes, like, how's it going? And he, like, clocks him in the head. And he goes, no, like, you know, you say good morning. And, you know, he, like, you know, does, like, a proper bow and stuff. And it's little things like that shows that, like, you know, the Muten Roshi isn't just a one-note pervert. Like, he does have substance to his character, at least for right now. And that there is more to him.
You know, now I'm just suddenly being reminded of another training sequence where in that case, the training sequence was literally just throwing the character into the wilderness and then just expecting that they were going to figure it out without any help whatsoever. But no, here it's like, he's great because, like, he's making them do crazy things, but he knows that they're capable of doing it. And he's not pushing them, like, ridiculously hard, and he's still helping them.
Yeah. It's great stuff. Yeah, I loved all of that. We get to see Kuririn and Goku bond a little bit during this. Especially, I feel like the moment where, like, I feel like they really started clicking as friends is when the priest was actually like, oh, how's their training going? He's like, oh, well, they just started, but, you know, I see a lot of potential in them. And they kind of bond over this moment. It's like, oh, he said we have potential. And they get really excited, and they kind of share a moment. And it's really great stuff. Like, I love that. And then... you know, the Muten Roshi drops this bomb on them. It's just like, yeah, like, you know, hopefully within 8 months, you know, they might even be able to compete in the Tenkaichi Budokai. And it's like, and Goku's like, what's that? And then Kuririn just starts hyping it up as the coolest shit ever. And it really kind of sets the stage for, you know, what the rest of this arc is going to be, like what they're actually working towards with this training. It's giving them an end goal in their training, and I really like that.
Yeah, no, the Tenkaichi Budokai is really important because it does give, it gives them a purpose for all this training that they're doing. If it was just like, oh, you're just gonna get stronger because reasons. Like, that's kind of boring. In fact, like, they never do that. Generally, when a character is training, they're training for something, and it's good that they Toriyama figured that out pretty quickly. Because, I mean, when Goku goes off to find the Muten Roshi, his goal isn't to go and say, oh, I want to go and train for the tournament. It's just, I want to get stronger. I don't know what the end goal is. But here they give them an end goal. So it makes everything much more focused.
Yeah. And yeah, that's like the whole thing I was saying. Like, yeah, it gives them that end goal, and it's just actually going to be like a character thing for Goku to be the strongest under the heavens. It gives him a goal to work towards. And that's pretty much what the rest of Dragon Ball, like the Dragon Ball portion of this series is going to be. Is him working towards becoming the strongest under the heavens, which he won't do until like the 23rd tournament. So yeah, it's cool stuff. Like this one little conversation is going to set up so much more in the future. And then we get past that and we get the West City filler, which in the anime is our first time ever seeing West City. West City won't be introduced until it shows up in the Red Ribbon Army arc, like down the road. So in the anime, the manga had already gotten to that point, so it knew, like the creators knew, the animators knew, like this is what West City is going to look like. Let's show us a little bit of West City early, and we get to see Yamcha, sparring against people.
Wait, did they show the city? Because I feel like the city itself didn't get shown until episode 19, or at least I specifically wrote that. Maybe I just forgot.
They show it from they show like the outside of the building, so they show them like in this urban environment.
Okay.
So yeah, like you don't get to see like the city, but you get to see them in West City.
Yeah.
And you see him training at this dojo, or not really just training, but just kind of going into this dojo, kicking the shit out of everybody, and being like, oh man, I bet like Goku's getting really strong with the Muten Roshi. Like, I want to face him again in the Tenkaichi Budokai. So we actually, it's nice that the series goes back to these characters, because these characters are going to be coming back later in this arc. So instead of just, tossing them off to the wayside, we are actually seeing that Yamcha is doing stuff as well. And, Bulma and the rest are just kind of being spectators, but Yamcha is, trying to improve himself. He isn't just kind of lazily, just kind of sitting about, waiting for the tournament to roll around. He is trying to improve himself and work harder and, raise his own personal power.
Oh yeah, the Yamcha filler is pretty... I like the Yamcha filler for two reasons. I mean, well, first of all, it totally makes sense that Yamcha would know about the tournament, because if we are still using that interpretation of him as a martial arts otaku, of course he would know the tournament that happens every 5 years and is the biggest martial arts tournament that we know. Of course he would immediately know that, and of course he would want to train for that. And the other reason I like it is because it kind of shows, even if it's mostly just a filler thing, it shows that Yamcha is still actually really damn strong compared to, random other dudes who know, kung fu. In terms of the random dudes who know martial arts, Yamcha is specifically actually pretty good at it. So
yeah, it does show that, he's like a legit threat. He isn't just some low-tier gag character. When you put him up against your average martial artist, he is above your average martial artist. He really can hold his own, which is something that I don't think we really got a feel for in the Peel-Off arc. We see him...
Well, no, because we didn't see any actual martial artists, really. Yamcha was basically the only one. Everyone else was they had weird abilities or something. No one actually knew how to fight.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's an important frame of reference, and we get that in the preliminaries as well, in canon as well, because this is all filler, But it's important, I think.
So, yeah. Then the episode ends after that with just, they finished all the milk delivery. Those two are exhausted, and then the Muten Roshi's like, all right, early morning training's over. Time for the morning training. And they're like, are you fucking kidding me?
It's great. It's the great reveal. It's so we spent all this episode doing these really ridiculously hard tasks. That's just the beginning.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And it segues very nicely onto the next episode.
Yeah, the next episode picks up right where it leaves off. We get to actually see, fighters around the world. There's a little bit of filler of, fighters around the world training for the Tenkaichi Budokai, that they're not the only ones out there. And, it kind of, widens the scope of the Dragon Ball world a little bit. But then, comes back down to our main characters, focusing on them. Also, this is, the first time that I at least noticed that Kuririn in, kind of a resting state, his eyes, he has like his full round eyes that will become like the standard for him. Because like, up until this, he's had kind of like his like kind of squinty, like, like shifty kind of character thing going on, where, he was just kind of like an asshole, really sarcastic. And here, he's learning humility. He's learning, he's learning to just be less of an asshole, or just not an asshole at all, and kind of learning his place in the world. And, he's actually showing his full round eyes. He'll go back to like his like kind of, slanty-eyed look, shifty-eyed look whenever he's, being sarcastic. But from here on out, he pretty much has the full round eyes whenever he's just default.
I mean, for all we know, maybe that was just happening because Toriyama decided that was a better look on him. Like, maybe this isn't even character development, but yeah, random tidbit there. But yeah, so episode 18, we get through the morning training, and starts off with, it's something, I don't know, people, it might not be such a big deal, but I find it really interesting, is that what I like about some of this training is that it's essentially one of the few times where actually, no, I'm thinking about it, last episode was this as well, it's one of the few times where this training actually literally benefits people, like the ordinary people. They're going off and delivering milk to people. Mm-hmm. They're plowing the field with people. They're doing construction work and helping them. And it's like, it's so weird to me because like later on in the series, pretty much from this point onwards, like training is basically something that's actually kind of like detrimental to society. It's like, Goku going off training is not helping him go get a job because he's going off training. You can't do both. But here, this is the one time in the series where it's like, it is kind of both at the same time. They're getting stronger and also helping people with their mundane tasks at the same time.
Yeah. Like it actually shows, like, almost like an altruistic side to them, even though they're benefiting in their own way. Yeah, and like they even like get paid for it, so it's just one of those things. Like, oh yeah, like
yeah, exactly. It's so weird. Like they're getting paid for training. Like it's unintentional, but they're getting paid for training. Like that is so odd, and it almost feels so unlike the genre to get paid for training because you train because you want to get stronger. And there's it is completely like I'm not here to help people. I'm just here to help myself. So. It's interesting. Like it's fun here. There's nothing wrong with it because it's the only problem is when you compare it to things later on in the series. So I guess it's an extra point for this one because it's nice.
Yeah. It's just like an extra little thing that just kind of makes this arc a little bit more special in my mind in terms of its training sequences, and like and here like once again like first he's delivering milk, and then like what's their early training or their morning training, and it's. Oh, well, we have to plow fields. Oh, okay, by hand. So then they're, like, competitively, like, plowing fields, trying to, like, work their ass off and, get it done as fast as they can. And they're, by the end of that, they're completely burnt out and exhausted again. Their hands are all jacked up, and they're just like, ugh. And then we get, like, a little bit of a shift where instead of just, it's all physical training, he actually just does, like a homeschooling session with them.
Yeah, this was so weird again. Like, once again, it's like, it's so weird because he's like, okay, no, listen, you guys might want to go and get stronger, but, like, that's not everything. Like, you need to actually learn basic skills and knowledge and, to be in school, like, maybe not actual school because it's only really for, like, an hour or so a day, but, like, you're actually going to be learning things. Like, what I like about this, it just feels so, like, grounded. Like, I could totally kind of almost imagine this happening, even in a real world setting. And that is what's so interesting about it. And it's like, they're not just saying, Goku, go off to the middle of nowhere and train and don't learn anything about society, don't learn anything new, don't help. Like, no, they're learning, they're in school. I mean, they're reading, like, porn, but, like, still.
Yeah, that is just one of those fucked up things, is that Goku is just, like, he's literally reading, like, a pornographic book. Like a steamy romance novel. And it's just, what the fuck?
I mean, it's the Toriyama twist. Roshi is a massive pervert. We have to show that in some way. He's not all sunshine and rainbows.
Right. And then, like, he also talks about, like, the benefit of rest. And after they get done doing, like, their reading stuff. Also, I love, like, whenever they start to, like, do, like, the schoolwork stuff, Kudorin's just like, gotcha beat. This is the one part where I got you, motherfucker.
And then he goes like, yeah, oh god, I hate this part.
Right. So yeah, I love that. And then like the Muten Roshi's like, also it's really important to rest. So then they just take a nap.
Yep.
They just take a nap. And like it's this great little moment where he definitely or he genuinely cares about them, not just like push your limits. It's just like also train your mind, also learn to rest your body because your body can't just take all this physical abuse.
I think the told me something like eat well and play well and something like that, and okay. I mean I'm gonna say that there is. Let me just say that line comes back in a moment of Super, and you might actually really enjoy it. I don't know because your feelings on Super, obviously, but yeah, it is interesting. Like this, I'm sorry, I just keep like saying the same point over and over again, but yeah, it is so like. It is so weird that for this training sequence, it is like this really kind of like healthy lifestyle where it's like, no, you don't train your body to the point of overexhaustion. You don't like try to keep pushing yourself until you basically pass out. You have your rest. You learn actual learning things. You also notice that there are other people outside in the world. God, the Muten Roshi's training sounds like so fun. Even if like they also have to like swim from sharks and dinosaurs and quicksand and bees.
Right. Yeah, and then, he moves them into the construction work, which is, like, the one job they actually get paid for.
Yep.
And they don't just get paid for it, like, they get paid, like, 5 times the normal amount because they're just that damn good.
I wonder what they did with the money.
Huh?
I wonder what they did with the money.
That's a damn good question, because it never really comes up that they were making... Because, I mean, they were making, like a week's salary, or, like, a week's pay every single day, pretty much. So, yeah.
We need headcanon answers. What did they do with the money? Maybe best response. We might read it out in 2 episodes' time. So.
I mean, the most obvious response, I think, is just the Muten Roshi used it to buy porno mags.
But it's not his. That's not fair. That's not fair.
Or maybe he just used it to buy Goku's food because Goku's such a pig.
Okay, that one I could believe.
Yeah, it's just like, kid, you're gonna eat me out of house and home. And so yeah, we're just gonna... Because, I mean, they do go out to eat for, like, dinner and lunch and stuff sometimes. So maybe that's just where their money goes.
Oh, actually, speaking of that, I forgot about the one thing. There's another filler scene in this episode where they have, I don't know, breakfast or lunch or something with lunch, and they make dinner, and they do the thing once again where she sneezes and then she turns into blunt lunch and then she decides to just go and shoot them. And it was one of those things that made me realize the thing that once again kind of just gripes me about lunch, and that is that she is really just the one joke. And there's basically only so many ways you can play the joke, and they don't even really subvert it very often. Like, you know what would be really interesting? Like, if Lunch sneezed, and then she turned into the blonde Lunch, but then the blonde Lunch sees all the food, and she realizes she's also really hungry, and she's not going to shoot them, because why don't we just have some food? There's food right there. But they don't do that. They just go back to the shooting again.
Yeah, no, that would be cool if they subverted it a little bit more, but no, like, they make her so one note, and that does kind of suck. Like, like I said...
That being said, the Krillin and Roshi basically like running instinctively away when Goku sneezes later on, that was good.
That was a great gag. Like, that was a really just... them just up against the wall, and Goku's like, huh? And they're just like, and they just go back to the table and sit down. That was, like, the fact that they have, like, this Pavlovian response now to just run at the sight of a sneeze. It's great stuff. And... So, the new construction work, they go out to eat and stuff. He's making sure that they're fed, making sure that they're well rested. Then we got, like, a little bit of Kuririn backstory, and we got to actually see him, like, training at the, the Orangeine, temple?
Yeah.
Which I'm pretty sure is just a pun on orange.
I'm not sure. It might be. I actually don't know what it's a pun on, because, like, I swear they called it the Orin Temple in, like, some of the dubs or whatever, so I'm not exactly sure, but...
Yeah. In the dub, they dropped the G, so
yeah,
it's...
I'm not exactly
it's just
sure, but...
the Orin Temple.
Yeah, it's... Oh... Yeah, I know. I find the Krillin's backstory so interesting because, yeah, like, not only do we find out that, like, oh, he was just this temple, but, like, at the actual temple, he was kind of bullied, and he wasn't the strongest. And there were guys who were way stronger and more intimidating than he was, which also makes sense considering how short he is. But it actually does kind of add a lot of layers to Krillin as a character. Like, it's something that kind of feels like it was sort of made up on the spot, but, like, it's something that you could almost, like, you sort of headcanon answers, where it's like, if Krillin was being bullied a lot as a kid, and then he goes off to Muten Roshi to try and get stronger and almost kind of, like, prove them wrong, then, like, well, of course he'd kind of, like, basically try and, like, put on this persona of being really cool, because, like, he's never had the chance to do that. And it also kind of explains why he couldn't ride Kintoon as well, if basically the only reason why he wanted to get stronger was to get back at some bullies.
Yeah, and, it also makes sense that he couldn't ride Kintoon because, it's, like, we see kind of, like, like, the shitty upbringing he was around, like his peers and the people who bullied him and taught him that, like, this kind of behavior is okay, and... I mean, we could probably start veering into the topic of toxic masculinity, but, I think...
I don't know if that's necessarily it, but, I think it's more like bullying in general. It's not really gendered, but yeah.
Well, no, because, I mean, it is just, like, a bunch of guys, beating up on his kid, and, like, that's how he learns, like, oh, that's how, like, that's how I'm supposed to act, and, try to, like, play, like, the tough guy persona, and, he really isn't that. And, he really kind of, like, the Muten Roshi really kind of has him come more into his own and kind of realize, like, no, like, that behavior isn't okay, because we never see that behavior from him again. Like, it is, like, from here on out, like, he does become more in line with, like, Goku, where he's just like, he wants to help people, he wants to do the right thing, he wants to push his own personal limits, and, it's just... Kudorin's an amazing character. He is probably the best thing about early Dragon Ball, and the fact that people trash on him so much is a real damn shame.
Of course, before Krillin gets to show off the fruits of all that, he needs to train, and for that they get to, swim from sharks, while the Kikuchi music is kind of playing the Jaws riff. I saw that Kikuchi. Mm-hmm. I heard that Kikuchi. Don't think you can just get away with it. I know it's not exactly the same, but okay. Then they have to avoid bee stings and everything like that. And, it's just like, one bit of training after another bit of training. And once again, it is one of those things, like, it's fantastical, but it's also grounded enough where you can kind of understand how this could be training. And then they have all this stuff, and...
Right.
Yeah. I thought this was leading to somewhere. I've got my notes here, but I think it was just like, that's kind of it. But after that, before... One other thing we sort of didn't mention is the stuff with, like, the Rock.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up, because, like before, like, the whole pushing the Rock thing happens, like, Goku has this almost rebellious moment where he goes, hey, when it's pretty much like the same thing with, like, Daniel and the Karate Kid, that whole Mr. Miyagi thing. It's like, when are you gonna have me stop doing all this menial labor and actually teach me some martial arts? And... the Muten Roshi, like, kind of gets in his face. It's like, you aren't ready to, like, learn.
He literally spits in his face.
Yeah.
He literally spits in his face.
Yeah, like, he's like, you're not ready. Like, he puts these kids back in their place. It's like, because, because like, Goku's the one that brings up, and then Kudorin's like, yeah, like, when are we going to actually learn? And he's just like, he puts them immediately in their place. You're not ready. And then he, like, gives them a challenge. It's like, when you can push this rock, then you can. And then Goku pushes the rock, and he's just like... I meant that rock. Sorry, I was pointing at the wrong rock this entire time. Anyone can push that rock. I'm talking about that rock right there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, first of all, like, yeah, once again, you get this kind of Karate Kid vibes sort of thing. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, why don't we learn how to fight? It's like, you don't know how to fight. But the Toriyama twist, I'm still using that. The Toriyama twist is that, like, it is just that, like, oh, no, the kids won't be able to do it because they're not ready. But here, no, Goku can, basically without any training, because Goku has this very abnormal strength. And I think this is one of the first times, I think, in the story where, like, Goku's abnormal strength is being acknowledged, like, even by, like, martial arts experts. Like, the Muten Roshi is, like, one of the greatest martial artists probably ever, and he clearly knows a lot about this, but then he's like, wait, how did Goku do that? That's really weird. That shouldn't have been able to happen at all.
Yeah.
And the fact is, Goku manages to push the rock more than even Roshi does. Like, he basically just surpassed, like, one of the greatest martial artists already. And I mean, it's weird. It's almost strange that it happens like that. It's like that he's actually, like, for once, he's actually, like, stronger than everything that they've been showing in this arc. Like, maybe it's because for the first time he was actually motivated. Maybe his Saiyan instincts kicked in. I've got no idea.
Yeah.
But it's like I said, it's a Toriyama twist. It makes me, at least, it makes me think about, like, what these stories are trying to convey when they're not played completely straight.
Right. Okay, so something I just looked up while you were going on that. Yeah, the Karate Kid came out in '84, so it actually came out before Dragon Ball. So Toriyama could have actually been inspired by this. Like, as far as, like, he could have...
I mean, I was just thinking then, but then, like, would Karate Kid be in Japan, though? Like, would that be as big in Japan if it's, like, because it's like almost like, you know, maybe people in Japan would think it's almost too kind of cultural appropriation-y kind of thing. Like, would that be a cliche? Or do the cliches just come from the Kung Fu movies that came before Karate Kid? Did the Kung Fu movies come before Karate Kid or after?
Oh,
I know there was some in Hong Kong, and they were like in the 90s, but like maybe that was like a contemporary thing.
Oh, no, like the whole Kung Fu genre, that blew up in the US around like, I mean, it was like some in the 80s, but also in the 70s. So, you know,
okay,
you know.
So it was definitely a thing before Karate Kid. So most likely then some of these tropes were a thing before Karate Kid.
Definitely.
I don't know. Like I said, you know, there's nothing wrong saying that Toriyama was inspired by other things. Like, we're not saying that makes it any worse. It's just something that's interesting to note.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone's going to be like, oh my god, they're trying to take away from Toriyama's brilliance. No, it's like, it's really cool to see someone take, like, inspiration from, like, oh, like he was inspired by this thing, and, you know, he kind of twisted it and made it his own unique thing by, like, just taking, like, you know, the core concept of, yeah, menial labor to improve one's abilities in fighting. So, yeah, it's a really cool thing. And we'll find out later on that that's not even what he's trying to do, because, like, you know, the Kami Sennin style isn't about that. But, so, yeah. And then, at the end of their training for the first day, they're like, all right, man, like, you know, is it going to be this hard every day? It's like, oh, this was the light day. Boom. Here, wear this turtle shell.
20 kilos turtle shell. Once again, it just ended up with, like, you thought this was hard? You ain't seen nothing yet. And it's just great. It's like the moment you think that they have kind of sort of under control and can kind of do something, then they put in an extra layer. He puts in something more to show, like, no, it's even bigger and harsher than you think. And I've got to say, yeah, I do think that his training definitely lived up to the hype that they said it was going to be, really, really harsh and stuff.
Yeah.
Also, one random thing in the episode I missed, so there was another Goku stick counter, and also we got Krillin stick for good measure.
Yes.
Thanks, Toriyama.
Yes.
I didn't know we really needed to see the private parts of little boys.
No, it's clearly an integral part of the story, and it's just, you know, like the average layperson wouldn't be able to understand the complexity narratively of the purpose of showing Goku and Kuririn's penis.
Don't they just have, like, swimming trunks? Like, why do they always have to swim naked? I don't understand.
I'm assuming that's got to be some sort of Japanese thing, at least from, like, the 80s. Like, maybe just, like back then.
Yeah, I mean, they,
yeah, you swam in the nude.
Because, like, yeah, they're skinny dipping. Like, they're literally skinny dipping. Like, I'm sorry. I'm probably, like, okay, it's like, with Goku, I can understand. It's just, Krillin's, like, more cultured, so you'd think, like, if societal pressures is, like, to not swim naked, he wouldn't swim naked. I don't know. I'm thinking way too much into this, so maybe we should go to the next episode, unless there's anything else you wanted to say.
No, that was everything I had.
Alright, episode 19, and, you know, actually, this is something where, like, I really loved this. In fact, this is one of my favorite episodes, but there's one thing that did kind of bug me, and that is kind of like, they kind of skip pretty much all of the training, and them mastering the training, and pretty much go straight to, like, when almost the tournament is almost about to start. Like,
I really wish we had gotten more, like, training stuff. There's just one more episode of them going through the rigors and just pushing their limits and then pushing that big boulder. But no, like, we kind of just go to, like to the end of it where they're just like, hey, Muten Roshi, like, hey, old man, like, we're able to push this rock now, check it out. And it's just like, oh. And, like, you know, they have apparently been doing this now for, like, 7 months.
Because, like, honestly, like, I didn't really... I think the issue I have with it, it's like, this is fine, but what I almost wanted a bit more out of it. And it's like, you know, it's like, when we saw them, they were struggling with this. And what did they do? What did they specifically learn that made them stop struggling? We really will never know, because they never told us. Like, I mean, obviously the explanation is kind of just, like, experience. They get more experienced in it. But it's like, you know, what was that experience? What did the experience entail? This isn't an RPG where you just, like, hit people and you just level up because RPG logic. Like, what did they specifically learn to get them stronger, to, like, you know, avoid that shark this time, to avoid the bee stings? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, I mean, maybe I'm wanting too much out of this. In fact, I don't think I have ever seen a training arc that has ever done this enough that I was satisfied. But, like, you know, what specifically how did they manage to deal with this? That's what I've always wanted to see, and I feel like I have never actually seen it.
Yeah, I wish we at least gotten like a good montage or something, showing them like struggling, showing them just like maybe like 5 minutes.
Rocky montage, yeah.
Yeah, just like maybe like a 5-minute moment, or like even like a 3-minute moment at the episode, at the beginning of the episode, where you're seeing them like the first minute is them really struggling again, and then like the second minute of it is just like they're getting a little bit better at it. Like the third minute, like they're just breezing by it like it's no problem.
Yeah, we didn't actually get any of that, so it does like it is all off screen. Like they showed us what the training was, and then Toriyama said, "Okay, that's what they do. Now they're gonna do that, and let's skip ahead to the part that matters." Like, I guess I appreciate it because it doesn't mean it gets bogged down in stuff that some people might find boring, but I find that stuff legitimately interesting. I would totally watch like 20 episodes of a character's training sequence. Maybe if I actually got that, I would regret saying that out loud because maybe I'd find that boring, but yeah, I'd probably want that.
Yeah, I mean, like...
Toriyama seems to do that a lot as well.
Yeah, so. He always kind of brushes off the training portion, like, because he's going to do it again with Gohan. He's going to do it with Goku on Kaio's planet. Just every time, it's like we never see them, like, learn new things. We just kind of jump to, like, we start off like, we're going to start your training. Time jump. Congratulations, you've completed your training. It's like, oh, okay.
It really is. Like, it's really like that. Even, like Goku on Kaio's planet, it's the same thing. Gohan in the wilderness, same thing. Basically anything to do with the hyperbolic time chamber is the same thing. Mm-hmm. I guess Toriyama just likes it. Maybe he just doesn't know how to write slow progression training sequences, but maybe I don't really need to ask for it from Dragon Ball, but I personally, if that happened, I would be really, really happy.
Yeah, I really wish we had... I agree, though. Because not seeing the training portions of training sequences always kind of disappoints me, because it's like, well, how did this character get stronger? Because like it doesn't bother me too much here, because I could see... I can picture in my head just every day, like, they're getting a little bit more used to it. They're getting a little bit stronger. They're getting a little bit faster. They're building up a little bit more endurance. And, like, this is a 7-month period, so, they just gradually been getting more used to it. I can picture that. Like, Gohan going from scared child in the woods to, slicing the tail off of a dinosaur, I can't really picture that. The anime fills it in for me. I appreciate that. Goku going from, not being able to move in 10 times gravity to, learning.
We didn't really see the benefits of that either, because it basically just skips ahead to he tries the Genki Dama once, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, we never see like how he learns like the Kaioken or the Genki Dama, and it's just like
no, but I mean we don't even see how much better he is in Kaio's planet afterwards as opposed to before. So that one's a bit weird in general. Like we don't even really see the training. We just see the things he learns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so
later in a different context.
Yeah.
Anyway, but besides that, I know I feel like being ragging on this for so long, but like in reality, this is one of my favorite episodes of Dragon Ball so far.
Yeah, I like this one too a lot. So we actually get to see them like push the big boulder, and then the Muten Roshi just has to be honest with them. It's like the Kami-Sennin style isn't about it isn't about learning a technique. There aren't techniques. Fighting styles are just the tools that you use. This has all been about just improving your strength. Pushing past human limitations and getting stronger. And then just the techniques you learn along the way. That's you apply that to the power that you've gained. And that was a really cool idea. Yeah. This is going to be kind of like a trope later in Dragon Ball, where just every training sequence is, we got to get stronger. It's never about learning a new technique. It's like, we got to get stronger. But here, it feels so refreshing, at the beginning of this series, because, that's not what training has been before. It's never been about now we can punch harder and run faster, and but now every friggin' shonen manga is going to be this from now until the end of time. But here seeing it in its infancy, it's really cool, and I thought it was a really cool idea that Toriyama did. But just training isn't about learning new techniques. This is about pushing past human limitations, and I really like that.
And the other thing, first of all, I think we can just all agree that everything Muten Roshi basically says to Goku and Krillin in these episodes are just all gold, complete gold.
Yeah.
And the other thing that he says is that he's basically saying that, you know, the aim of martial arts is not for winning, is not to win, it's to keep you from losing to yourself.
Yeah.
And
oh my god.
That is basically Goku in a nutshell. Right there. Like, that. In fact, I think that is something that literally Vegeta says at the very end of the series, that is what Goku is like. And it's like, I don't know if necessarily Goku has always been like that, or maybe that, you know, Roshi basically teaching him these kinds of techniques, these kinds of, like, mindsets, are things that he kept with him for the rest of his life. Because, yeah, Goku doesn't fight to win, he fights to improve himself, and he fights so he can't, he fights... I think that's those are the actual words Vegeta says. Like, he doesn't fight to win, he fights so he can't lose.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah, it's something similar in that same vein. He is kind of echoing the same lesson that the Muten Roshi taught him so long ago. And yeah, like this this really is like the Muten Roshi instilling Goku's character arc into him. Because up until this point, Goku is just kind of like adventurous, fun kid. He's never really had a goal. He saw like, oh, well, like, I can get stronger by training with the Muten Roshi. And he doesn't really know what that entails. He just knows that, like, he'll get stronger. He doesn't, like, you know, he's expecting to learn, like, techniques and stuff. And here he finds out that, like, oh, like, you know, there are, like, you know, there aren't really limitations to his body, to his power. And he can just keep getting stronger. And it's all about, you know, conquering his own personal limitations and stuff. And just, you know, losing isn't an option. And, like, you know, just, you know, finding that next challenge. And yeah, like, that is Goku in a nutshell. And that is, like, it is this moment that really kind of instills that ideal into Goku. And yeah, it's a great moment. Like I said, like you said, everything the Muten Roshi says is gold in this arc. Like, you know, as far as like his training with the two kids go. Like,
technically it's kind of almost a little bit generic. I'm sure if you watch Kung Fu films, like, you've probably heard this dialogue probably verbatim.
Oh yeah, it is.
I mean, it's like, but it's like, I don't know. I don't know what it is about it that makes me not get upset about that. Maybe just because I don't care if things are cliche. If it's fun, I will take it. So maybe that's just me, my personal preferences, but it's just great. And in fact, and another thing that he sort of explains, to sort of keep talking on about this, is that, like, they're not going to the tournament to win the tournament. They're going to the tournament because there will be strong guys there, and it'll be a good way to sort of test out their techniques and test out what they've learned and how much stronger they've gotten against other people. Like, I don't know if necessarily Roshi realized they would be able to win and he's just sort of lying to them, or if it's like he legitimately thinks that these guys will be so strong that he won't be able to win. But I think the one thing that I find interesting about it is that, like, you know, we get this tournament, and in the tournament they're basically stressing you don't expect to win the tournament. It kind of feels like Toriyama's playing the long haul here. Like, he sort of knows that, listen, they've gotten stronger, but they have a long way to go, so I'm going to show you that by having a tournament and having a wise old master stress that they're not going to be able to win.
Yeah. Yeah, and, like, even Goku doubts it. Like, Goku's even asking, it's like, you know, there's going to be a lot of guys there. Like, do you think that we'll even make it to the tournament? Like, Goku, he isn't just full of just limitless confidence. You know, he feels like, oh man, there's like this whole world out there that I've never seen. And he has no clue what he's going to be getting into when he first gets to this tournament. Until, like, he actually starts, you know, fighting against people. But, like, you know, right now, he is just, like, you know, in awe and wonder of, like, you know, what is beyond there. Like, you know, who is he going to fight? What strong opponents are going to be there? And where is he even going to stack up to them, or is he going to stack up at all?
Exactly.
Like, you know, you actually get to see some self-doubt in him.
It's like, how are we going to do this if we don't even know how to punch? It'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And
so
then we get some filler. Can I just, you know, okay, I don't normally mention filler, especially mention filler in good ways, but holy shit, can I just say that the filler of Yamcha's training sequence looked so cool?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it was well animated, it was, like, well storyboarded, and it had, like, you know, the way that they had him sort of in the shadows, and kind of, like they really used lighting to its fullest effect. I thought it looked so cool.
Yeah, honestly, this whole episode looks really, really good. And this is a, like, I was looking it up, and this is, like, an in-house Toei episode.
Okay.
So like, the key animators on this is, like, Shimanuki, Nakatsuru, Ide.
Wait,
yeah.
I don't think... I don't think Shimanuki is in-house. I think he was at Segasha. I don't think he was in-house.
This is a Toei one. I'm pretty sure because Nakasuru worked under.
Yeah. Nakatsu is Toei, but I'm pretty sure Shimanuki was at Segasha, which was another place.
I wonder if this is a different Shimanuki then, because I'm looking at it right now. I'm trying to.
Okay. All right, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Like all I know is just from the content sheets, the animation styles guide.
Shida was doing in betweens. So yeah.
Oh, I was gonna say like imagine if Shida did key animation and it's like Shida did this one scene that I really liked the animation and be like, oh, it's Shida, but no, I don't think he's at that point yet. If that happens, I know there's one point in Dragon Ball where there is something cool and it was Shida, so I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna figure that out.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, like honestly, I think this whole episode looks really great. Like this is like the last two episodes we watched before this, like they don't look bad at all. They look perfectly fine. This.
Oh yeah, and I remember like the part where Goku and Krillin are just like shoveling like mud and stuff in the construction thing, and I'm just like, oh my god, that looks really smooth. So
yeah,
it all looks good.
Yeah, like the last episodes looked good. This one looks great. Like the line art is so crisp and clean. And just like the designs feel a little bit more detailed. This is probably Toei's. I mean, I just read off like a couple of the people who are working on this one. I don't really know the other two that well, but I do know Nakatsuru and Shimanuki a little bit better. So yeah, this episode just looks great. From beginning to end, I think it's just a great looking episode. That Yamcha filler is great, and then the Yamcha filler goes on for a bit because you see him like training, and then you see. Bulma in West City, and it's our first like real look at West City, and Bulma's bitching about.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask about the thing about West City because like, so I should have looked this up beforehand. I forgot about it because like it shows West City, and West City kind of looks like I think even what the manga shows West City look like. But I feel like the manga didn't show what West City looked like until like the Red Ribbon Army.
Correct.
So
okay,
did the anime get cues from this? Like, did the anime give Toriyama cues for this?
Well, by the time the anime had started, the manga was already like halfway through the Muscle Tower storyline.
Okay. So they would have. All right. So it's not. Mm-hmm. The manga did come first. That makes sense. I guess it's just so weird because you expect, probably because the arcs in later parts of Z are like so long that you don't expect them to like know stuff from arcs later on down the track. But yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So they had a bit of a heads up here. So it looking just like it does in the manga. Yeah, that's because it had probably already been shown off in the manga by this point because like I think he was. Goku was fighting Hachan by the time episode 1 debuted.
Okay, so, yeah. All right, that totally makes sense then. Yeah, but yeah, and then in the Bulma filler.
Mm-hmm. So, we have, like I said, like the Bulma filler, and she's kind of throwing a hit of it, but then, like Yamcha gets to have, like, his really cool moment. Like, the filler really gives Yamcha some cool moments. Like, fighting, like, those guys in that dojo, him training out in, like, like, the wilderness, and then, like, him coming and, like, saving Bulma from, like, like, this truck, and, like, him saving her from a truck thing's pretty cliche, but it is kind of cool, and, Bulma's like, molester! And he's just like, no, it's me. And, like, that kind of gives us the lead-in for, like, Yamcha getting his hair cut. So, we even got a little kind of backstory on, like, why his hair got cut. Because he looked like a shaggy hobo whenever he got back from his training.
Yeah. It's also the first indication we get that even though Bulma has a hot boyfriend who also knows martial arts, she is never satisfied.
Yep, nope. Yeah, she's just like, no, you look like crap. We're gonna go get a haircut. And
also something interesting. So Yamcha was on his training journey alone.
Yeah,
Puar wasn't even with him.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that. How weird is that Puar didn't go with? Then again, maybe he just wanted to train on his own. So maybe he thought Puar would be a distraction.
I guess, but yeah, it's like Puar was. Just like Puar was his constant companion, and now he's not even that. So now Puar is kind of literally nothing. Anyway, we should probably stop bashing on Puar like we keep bashing on Lunch.
Yeah, well, honestly...
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, fictional characters. I'm sorry I keep bashing on you.
I'm not going to bash on Lunch in this next point, but I do think it's... Lunch stays behind. She doesn't go to the tournament.
Yeah.
Like the kids get ready to go, and she's just like, good luck, and she, like, gives them, like, a handshake. And it's like, what the fuck? Like, you've been with these guys for 8 months. Why are you not going to the tournament? Like, the Muten Roshi says, make sure to watch everything for us while we're gone. It's like, it's a capsule house. Hit the button, turn it back into a capsule, and fucking bring her along. It's so dumb that she stays behind.
I didn't think about that. Yeah, and especially because in later tournaments, she is there in the spectators, so it wasn't like, I don't know, maybe Toriyama couldn't be bothered, or maybe it was like this sort of housewife stereotype kind of thing, where it's like, oh, don't worry, the boys go off and do the boys thing. I'll be there and ready for dinner.
Right.
But, I mean, that's not even true in the anime, because in the anime, they leave and then they they arrive at nighttime and they spend it like the whole day there as well, so it's like they miss a whole bunch of things. So I don't know, like I don't even know if Toriyama knew what he was doing when he introduced lunch, because he didn't seem like he had any idea as to why she was there in the first place.
See, this goes back to my theory that Toriyama introduced lunch as the sexy girl character to be ogled, because as soon as lunch is cut out of the story, Bulma comes back. She comes back in the manga.
You're right.
So it's literally just Toriyama going, well, I don't need 2 sexy girls, so we're just gonna leave lunch behind and like, hey, look, Bulma's back for the tournament, guys. It's like we couldn't have just 2 cute girls. It's like, no, like he only just needs 1 piece of eye candy per storyline, because that's kind of like, I don't know.
That's
like I don't know why lunch does it, because like this is her introductory arc.
Yep.
This is the most important she's ever going to be in the series, and she was not even important enough to bring her to the tournament that this arc was building up into.
Yeah, I'm gonna say though, sorry, not Bulma. Just shows how much I'm paying attention. Lunch does do one thing, and she gives them those suits. Goku and Krillin in those little blue suits. Zeon there is so cute, I could die.
Yeah, no, like they look awesome in those suits. I like them.
That was me openly fangirling. I may do this more than once, but that was probably the first example, because they are so adorable.
Yeah, no, I love them in the suits. They're great. I think they look cool.
Please continue while I compose myself.
Yeah, I know. So they get in the suits and they go on the plane. Master the Muten Roshi, he's a little bit of a pervert, whatever. And Goku still just kind of being a bumpkin, not understanding planes. Then they get to the tournament, and this is where like the manga deviates, or this is where the anime deviates from the manga a bit, and that they get there and it's nighttime. They get there and it's at night, and it's the day before, or it's the night before the tournament. Where in the manga, they always get there, if I'm not mistaken, they always get there the morning of the tournament.
Yeah,
and
I don't really know why they changed it. It was honestly kind of strange addition. Maybe because they leave in the morning as well. So I guess maybe the anime thought it's they'd finish their training for the day and then they leave. So I guess it would be nighttime.
Yeah.
I don't know, and I guess to get everyone together, I actually can't think of a reason as to why they waited a day. I think later on they do some, in other tournaments they put some filler in that night, but this time they don't, so it was honestly kind of strange.
Yeah, and here, the way also how it deviates from the manga is, the way he gets reunited with all of his old friends, Goku does, is completely different from the manga, because in the manga, he bumps into Yamcha during the preliminaries. It's like, oh, Yamcha, you're here. It's like, oh yeah, Bulma and the rest are here too, blah, blah, blah. And then after the preliminaries, they reunite. He reunites with Bulma and the other two. And, here, this is just, he meets them all at once, at the tournament thing, at the sign-up thing. And I actually like that more, because it gives him, a little bit more time to spend with these characters, and it brings them back into the story sooner. Because, unlike the manga, where the manga had, just kind of cut them out for, the first half of the arc, the anime had been always cutting back to them.
Yeah.
So, bringing them in sooner, I think it narratively makes more sense than just having, Goku be surprised during the preliminaries and then bringing in Bulma later. Here, he gets to meet them all at once. Kuririn gets to get introduced to them all at once. And I love how Goku can't recognize Yamcha. He's just like, who are you? I don't know. And
he's just like, Rogar,
who can?
Oh,
yeah.
I know who you are. You're the one who did that. You're Yamcha.
Yeah.
Although, I've got to say, it's actually kind of almost amusing to seeing Oolong just like suddenly like, being really excited and like looking at Goku like their best friends. Whereas like, I mean, that adventure wasn't particularly that fun for you. I mean, you got blackmailed and had lots of diarrhea, and Goku was just kind of... There were points where you thought you had to die, and Goku turned into a monkey and nearly killed you guys, and suddenly now you're all like chummy. Like, Bulma I could understand, Puar maybe. I'm surprised Oolong has suddenly kind of domesticated so quickly.
Yeah. Okay, so you just saying that reminded me of something else with Oolong that I'm going to bring up in the next episode. But,
okay.
So, at the end of this episode, though, after all the reuniting and everyone's getting ready for, like, the tournament the next morning, they get the geese. The iconic Kami Sennin geese.
This is so good! It's so awesome! It makes me feel nostalgic for something I was never even nostalgic for, because I didn't even watch this as a kid, but it makes me feel nostalgic.
Yeah, and I love the way they do it, too, where it, like, this is like a great little storyboarding moment, where it shows it, like, in the briefcase, and it does a close-up, like, on the briefcase showing the Kami Sennin symbol, and then it backs out, and... It's like Goku's now wearing it, and he's like tightening his belt, and he's just ready to go. And it's such a cool moment. It's such a cool transition. It's such a cool moment. I love that sequence. It's great stuff.
And it's just so great in terms of like nostalgia value, because this is basically, those outfits are essentially what Goku and Krillin are going to wear for pretty much the rest of the series, for almost the rest of half of their lives, kind of. I mean, Krillin specifically, Goku kind of gets a bit more sort of flourishes onto it, but Krillin specifically wears something like this pretty much the entire series from this point onwards, and it's it's like this is where it all began kind of thing. And I know that's almost like kind of like a Z-centric view on things, but like still.
Yeah, definitely I agree with that. And it's a great moment. And do you have anything else to say about this episode, or do we want to move on to the last of these four?
One thing. Before the tournament, near the end of the episode, before it ends, there is a certain piece of music that starts with a certain riff you might recognize, and it kind of, it's great. It is an instrumental version of Menzase Tenkaichi.
Oh.
I will talk about this when we get to it. You didn't notice that?
I didn't pick up on that. No, I didn't.
They play the beginning of Menzase Tenkaichi, and I don't think it... I feel like it gets to the point where they would be having the vocals, but there's no vocals, so I think it's an instrumental version.
Okay, cool. All right. Nice. So, yeah.
Episode 20. Let's go. Tournament starting.
Yeah. Like, right out of the gate, Goku, he's the first one up. First of all, I want to bring up something. Oh my god, the animation is such a huge drop from the last episode. Oh, man. The characters just don't look that good. Like, at least at the very beginning. I feel like all the Goku stuff looks the worst. I feel like every scene, like everything that's like Goku-centric in this episode looks noticeably worse than like the Yamcha matches or like the Kuririn matches. Or even like some of the stuff like with Bulma and them, like just like all the stuff with Goku looks so much worse, and even like some of like the filler stuff with Bulma looks so much worse than like some of like the fight scene and stuff. And I was just like, I'm like, it's Uchiyama, isn't it? It's gonna be Uchiyama. I bet this is an Uchiyama episode. And I looked it up. Shit, where was it? Oh no, I
looked it up. I don't remember when I looked it up.
Yeah, right. And like Uchiyama is the if I remember correctly, like Uchiyama was credited as animator, but he isn't a key animator, which is weird.
Wait, you mean he's the supervisor or the?
I guess he's just like a supervisor on the animation.
Because like if it's like Uchiyama's team kind of thing, he'd be the supervisor.
Yeah, it's an Uchiyama. Yeah, it's Uchiyama's team, and this is the first episode where Shida key animates that I've noticed.
All right. Okay. I'm gonna probably now. I almost want to look through it and see and guess which part might be him. It's not going to work. It is not going to work. I only know like modern Shida, which is like really, really, really distinctive. But I'm probably going to try that now once this is all over. But okay.
Yeah, if I were to like take a shot in the dark, I would say it was probably like one of his cuts of animation is when Kuririn kicks his senpai like through the wall, and he does like a spiral, and he smashes through the wall, and he flies past Bulma and the others, and like her hair flows back, and because that was like a really slick looking scene, and I feel like if
keep in mind when we say, oh, we think this is Sheeta, like there's actually like no confirmation really that a lot of this stuff is animated by people. A lot of this stuff is kind of just guesswork.
Yeah.
With Sheeta, some of the stuff we know with Sheeta, well, one, because it's distinctive, and two, because nowadays he posts all the key animations of his stuff on his Twitter, so we know when it's him.
Yeah. He really like puts his stamp on things. Now here though, like I definitely think he blends in a lot more. Like I would have no clue really, like who, like that is me taking a wild shot in the dark. I'm probably wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, that's like AJ or something. Who knows?
Right. Like maybe he'll know. But yeah, like Goku in his opening match, he like pokes the guy in the leg and he falls out, like, and the guy's like physically hurt, like in his leg. Like you see him holding his leg, and they're like, oh, like this dumb oaf tripped and fell out. And Goku's just like, go easy on these guys. Don't go all out. And he's just, okay, if you say so.
Yep.
And then Goku immediately backpedals on this when like Kuririn Senpai shows up and he goes, go all out. That guy, go all out on him.
Okay. Yeah. See, this is one thing where I'm just like, okay, you know when I was saying that Krillin is the relatable one because he's not as strong as Goku and he's like the weaker one? Well, you know why another reason why Krillin is the relatable one? Because here he starts getting issues with self-confidence.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to make him even more relatable, he's the martial artist who's not as strong, and he's having problems with self-confidence and doesn't necessarily believe that he can win, and Goku is like, it's almost like you could almost understand him not having self-confidence if he's right next to freaking Son Goku. Of course, like, it'd be hard to have any confidence with your own abilities if you're next to that. So anyway, that's why Krillin is so relatable, and it's great, and, it's, this fight, in fact, this is like Krillin faces off his own inner demons and bullies by beating the bully, and it's fun and it's great. Although, surprisingly, I actually kind of feel like there was a bit of missed potential there. Mostly just because, like, it was just resolved so quickly. Especially in the manga, where this is the first time you meet these guys, you find out Krillin was bullied, and then you're like, then Goku's like, oh, don't worry, then just don't go all out against them. Then Krillin basically, like, immediately manages, like, within, like, one hit, it's just, like, immediately punches him, like, kicks him through the wall, and it's like, at that point, they're all gone, and like they're not a threat anymore. Like, I was thinking about this today, and I was thinking, like, I almost would have preferred it. I feel like Lance might have said this. If Lance said this, I'm sorry for maybe perhaps subconsciously taking your idea, but I almost would have preferred it if, like, in the preliminaries, that the bully guy actually kind of made it to, like, the top 8, and, like, he would have been Krillin's first opponent other than Bacterian. Just because, like, I feel like there's more opportunity to kind of explore his character there. Like, you could have done it, like, this is how, I feel like this is something I would have personally enjoyed. Not just saying it would have worked, but this is what I would have enjoyed. Like,
you know what, now
Krillin has to fit.
Now that you've said that, like, yeah, I wouldn't have minded that. I think that would have been kind of cool. Because I do.
Yeah, because, like, what I was thinking was like, this is basically my glorified fanfiction, I'm sorry, but, like, the idea is that for the first round, Krillin has to fight off against his bully, and you see the bully beforehand because the bully had to obviously win the preliminary rounds as well, so you know that he can at least fight, I guess, and Krillin's getting more and more anxious about it, and then when he has to fight this guy, he's actually kind of getting so, like, caught up in, like, his own sort of, like, self-doubt, and he's sort of, like, imagining himself back when he was like weak and useless and couldn't do anything, that he kind of sort of forgets about how strong he can be, and it sort of makes him struggle for a bit and makes him actually start winning, and the other guy starts beating him, and then it basically takes Goku to have to, like, kind of snap him out of that state and be like, no, hey, Krillin, listen, what was all that training for? You were actually really strong, just trying, it's like, you can totally beat this guy. I know that. You're way stronger than that. And then Krillin sort of, like, remembers that, and then he beats his ass. And, like, I just feel like that would have been so much better. Like,
I mean,
I'm sorry. That was just my glorified fan fiction. But I still feel like that would have been so much better.
See, like, the only reason...
Because it would have been, like the first round. You'd have, like, Krillin character development, and it would have been really fun. It's like...
Yeah, like, I mean, like, the only thing for me that, like, makes me would want that necessarily more is just the fact that I don't like the Bacterian fight. And we'll get to that soon enough. But I really don't like that fight. In fact, I don't like a lot of the quarterfinal matches, and I'll get into that whenever we get to that part. I feel like that's like the weakest part of the entire arc. But yeah, I do like how this scene still plays out, where he's like really nervous because you see like because it feels like he's just taking like this one desperate swing at his senpai and just knocks the shit out of him, and he's just like, oh, like Kuririn finally realizes like, oh man, I am a lot stronger than I thought I was. And I do love how that scene plays out.
Yeah, I do like it. Like, yeah, like I do like how it went out. I don't know. I just thought that, and I was just thinking about how much more potential you could do with this character who already has a connection to Krillin, as opposed to Krillin fighting basically another gag fight. So I don't know. That's just one thing. Also, like I know I keep saying I love the tournament, even though I keep nitpicking. But okay, like. Well, first of all, like, something about the preliminaries just kind of bugs me a little. Like, just like how easily Goku and Krillin and even Yamcha managed to get to the top 8. Like, we spent this entire time talking about like about this tournament. How it's going to be a big deal, and all these strong guys are going to be there, and don't expect to win, and blah 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 blah. And like, they managed to just beat everyone. No one there is a threat to them in the preliminaries. And it's like, this is a common Dragon Ball trope that keeps happening again and again and again, to the point at that point preliminary characters just kind of become jokes. But it's like, I think what I find so strange about this is what it kind of feels like in context of like in universe. Like, okay, Goku and Krillin are just these random kids, and like, okay, Krillin had learned martial arts, and Goku was kind of abnormally strong, but within about 8 months of training, Goku and Krillin suddenly become some of the strongest martial artists on Earth, just by a few months of training. Like, it's like, wow, kind of way to sort of kind of just sort of skip ahead, jump them in power so much, like kind of going from like, oh listen, like, you might not be able to win, to actually no, the only characters who can actually beat you are characters who are like part of this sort of almost elite club, and 99% of martial artists are kind of just scrubs that you can take out, you could almost kill.
I don't mind it just because like we have seen like what the hell the Muten Roshi's training consists of, and we see like it is all about pushing like past human limitation, because like there's like the upper limit of what a human can do, and then breaking that barrier down. Like that was the whole point of that. So I feel like it makes sense that there would only be like a handful of people that could really be on their level. And like I think it also kind of like it also makes sense for later on when we see like the Muten Roshi, he getting like him getting involved, because he knows like his students are just way too powerful. But we'll get to that when we get to it.
It's just like maybe I wouldn't have so much of an issue with it if it wasn't that the training sequence once again did feel so grounded in reality. Like the idea that climbing up a lot of stairs is not something that you'd think that you need to be a crazy like insane genius martial artist to figure out. It's like some of this stuff feels so grounded in reality. I'm surprised it just works so well.
Well, I don't
like, it might just be because Goku's a prodigy and Krillin's a prodigy, but the prodigy excuse doesn't make it less interesting, like more interesting.
Well, see, I don't really feel it as like, oh, they're prodigies. It's not just, oh, well, like climbing upstairs. It's doing the long trek that they do, in the fact, like the fact that they're adding little things to make it more difficult, like skipping or zigzagging through cheese to make it more difficult. And then you have this huge temple staircase that they have to go up after doing all that other trekking around the island, and then right after that, go do farm work. Then eat. Take a nap, then you go back and you start doing construction work, then you start swimming, then you start trying to training to avoid things, and there's so many layers and different things that they're learning from each bit of their training, and the fact that they're constantly doing it every single day with this huge turtle shell on their back to add to it, it's the level of extremity that like how extreme like the training is, and like how diligent they're being about it. Yeah. Like that's where I give it a pass.
It's just like, yeah, it's just it is just so extreme that characters within 8 months can take what took other characters like 20 years to even at least attempt and outstrip them by a very large margin. You know, I kind of feel like at this point, this is almost sounding like the people who kept sort of complaining about Resurrection F and about how Frieza's 4-month power-up was bullshit because it happened too quickly. And, you know, now I'm wondering if we can use that logic that maybe, you know, Frieza's training we never got to see was obviously just so ridiculously intense, and those guys were just doing scrub tier training. Frieza knew the true training, and he was a prodigy. And I'm rambling, and like, maybe like I said, I think I'm just disappointed, almost a bit disappointed, because from the status quo that this sets up, it kind of means that there's only a very few amount of people who can actually like threaten them, and they've always got to be special in some way. You can't like gone are the days where they can just go to a random village and some guy knows kung fu and he can actually like best Goku, or at least like be a challenge to Goku. At this point onwards, if some random guy knows kung fu, he's got to be like special for Goku to actually like lose.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is just, you know, the Dragon Ball power creep. This is going to be a thing from here on out. Like, these characters are already, like, this early in, they're already in the upper echelons, and by the end of Dragon Ball, Goku and company are going to be the strongest that there are, like, you know, in the world. It's
just weird, because, like, it's the second arc of the story, and they're already practically the strongest on Earth. Like,
yeah.
That's quick.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely in the top 10.
We're at episode 20. We're at episode 20, and they're in the top 10 of martial artists like on Earth. That's pretty quick.
Definitely. Like I said, like I can buy it only because like the Mu Tenroshi's, you know, training regimen and stuff. But like that's like the only reason I do believe it, you know. But and the fact that it was like 8 months and he just did not let up on them like once.
Yeah. Also, one other funny thing. So the preliminary matches are only a minute long.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a long time. People thought that the Tournament of Power's 48-minute time limit was strict. 1 minute? How can you decide something in 1 minute? Like, okay, to be fair, I've never been in a martial arts tournament, but still.
I mean, I imagine it's just, you know, based, like, you know, either you knock your opponent out, you ring out them, or, you know, you're just based on how well one person did over the other one. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like in a boxing match where you go, oh, well, like, technical knockout. You know, like, you didn't actually, you know, knock the guy out, but, you know, you did well enough against them that, you know, we went the full round, so we're just going to give you the victory.
I could just imagine somebody, though, managing to be able to dodge their attacks for, like, 60 seconds, and then what do? Just do it again?
Right, yeah, I guess it just, you know, it kind of just boils down to, like, you know, what the ref chooses as the winner. So, something I kind of dug in this episode, you know, there's a little bit of Bulma filler. It's not all good. It's mostly just panty jokes and stuff. But there is like a
lot of panty jokes.
Huh? Say what?
A lot of panty jokes.
Oh yeah, a lot of panty jokes. That's mostly what this consists of. But there's one little line where Bulma brings up, "Where did the Muten Roshi go?"
Oh yeah, that was good.
And it's that first little bit of foreshadowing. The filler tossed in this little bit of foreshadowing because, like, right now in the story, you're just like, oh, where is the Muten Roshi? You don't think about it, and it's not like, you know, like they didn't do like a cheap thing with it where they go, gee, I wonder where the Muten Roshi is, and then it hard cuts to like Jackie Chun, and you go, oh, that's the Muten Roshi. No, it's, you know, like they bring it up, and then it's dropped immediately. And the next episode is when we'll get introduced to Jackie Chun, and, you know, like, you know, like, as soon as you see him, you start thinking, it's like, is that the Muten Roshi in disguise? And so, yeah, like, I like that little bit of foreshadowing one episode early of just, where did the Muten Roshi go? I haven't seen him. So, yeah, I dug that, and also, I think this episode, like, this little bit of filler, is the last time we get to see Oolong use his transformation powers.
Wait, does he actually use them?
Because he turns into a ladder.
Oh, yeah, right, he did.
Yeah, he turns into a ladder.
I was actually thinking about that when I was watching the episode, and Bulma's just like, oh, I need to get up there. And I'm just like, Bulma, you have 2 shapeshifters available to you. Just ask one of them to be a ladder. And, I mean, I guess Bulma doesn't think about that. I guess she doesn't realize, and then I'm just like, you could have made this a lot easier on yourself.
Yeah, and then, like, you know, she, like, if I remember correctly, she tells Oolong that, and this was like really the first time I ever, like, not the first time I ever noticed it, but I was just like, it stood out to me because when she says that, it's like, you know, if you turn to a ladder, I'll give you my panties, and he's just like, yes, and, you know, he like transforms, and you see him like hopping as a ladder. One of the few things, because okay, at this point in the dub, or at this point in Dragon Ball, I don't know the dub anywhere near as well as I did like the Pilaf arc. One, because Funimation didn't take as many weird liberties as Ocean Group did, and just like some of the Ocean Group dialogue, I thought like, you know, just sticks with me a lot better because maybe it was better written or something. I don't know. But one of the things that stuck out with me here was in the dub, she actually threatens Oolong with the pee-pee candy again. So like 8 months later, she's just like, you know, do it or I'll use the pee-pee candy. He's like, okay, fine. And he transforms, if I remember that correctly. And so, like, you know, that was just them skirting the issue of having to do a panty joke. Or...
that's interesting. So, but, like, does the dub have the part where they say the pee-pee candy only lasts for, like, a month? Then would that be a continuity error? I don't know.
Yeah, no. Like, the dub never brings in the time limit for the pee-pee candy. So, yeah.
Oh, God. That's kind of messed up if you think about it. So that means that he'd be like that for all eternity. Okay.
Yeah.
At least it's the dub. At least the dub's not canon or whatever.
Yeah, like the dub is really weird in the sense that that like, you know, it just completely the dub is kind of weird, like, you know, where like only watching that originally, I had no clue that the PP candy had a limitation. So it made me wonder, like, how long does that last? Like could Bulma, like, you know, in the Saiyan arc just do that to him out of spite? But yeah.
You know, now I'm suddenly imagining Bulma managing to try and like fight her enemies by giving them pee-pee candy without them realizing, and then just like incapacitating them. I have stupid ideas, okay?
So yeah, like that happens. They do that little gag filler scene, and then we just kind of start montaging through everyone just kind of working their way through their opponents. Goku takes out a dude, Kuririn takes out a dude, Yamcha takes out a wolf man, which I thought was really cool.
Oh yeah,
because it's the Roga Fufu Ken versus an actual wolf. It was awesome.
Also, it gave me a major Fist of the North Star vibe. Like, I wouldn't be surprised that, like, you know, after they you know, that thing, like, they clash and then you see them like on the opposite sides and then one of them suddenly falls over, and like, you know, I was just imagining Yamcha to basically say, "You are already dead."
Yeah. That's actually...
I don't know what that comes from. Yeah, okay.
That is like an old school thing from like even like samurai films where like the two samurai would like clash blades and then like there'd be like the still moment and then one would fall. Like, you know, that, yeah, so that dates back like a long time.
Yeah, I was actually wondering where that specifically came from. So okay, that is an old school like wish out kind of thing. I was also going to say, like, you know, they even, I remember that they used that in Super in episode 90, I think, as well. So it's still a thing. It's still a thing that they use in martial arts things, and they use it in Dragon Ball, and it's fun. And when we get to these preliminaries, we also get to this cliche of like the tiny, like the pipsqueak versus the really big, fat, tough dude. And the big, fat, tough dude is actually the pushover who gets defeated by the tiny pipsqueak. It gets to the point that when we come to the last tournament in the Boo arc, when I love this moment where Krillin sees his opponent, and his opponent is a big, tough, fat dude, and he's just like, okay, I know exactly how this is going to go.
Yeah. Yeah, no, like it's good stuff. It's like the preliminary matches. They're short, sweet, and yeah, I dig them. And that's pretty much this episode, though. That's the entirety of it, I think.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to say, talking a bit more about the filler, because like there was something I liked and something I didn't like. I mean, what I didn't like is the weird kind of really kind of wrong kind of idea where it's just like the gag ends with Bulma falling down and then having everyone see the panties, and then suddenly all these guys go up and start looking at her, and it's like really messed up and kind of traumatizing. Like, you know, Bulma's in this embarrassing situation and suddenly all of these people are looking at her and kind of like enjoying it. But then the good thing I liked is that this entire subplot of the filler kind of tied into the plot of the episode, because they wanted to see the preliminaries and they couldn't. And so that, like, they were trying to get up to see from like a higher window, and that's what led to that whole situation. But then when Krillin makes his bully fly through, like, break through the wall, they use the hole in the wall to spectate, which I think was a really smart way of just like tying the filler subplot into the main plot to make it feel like it's kind of organic and this all sort of makes sense.
Yeah. The way they tie those two plot lines together is really, really smart, and I dug that a lot. Yeah, like I just, Yeah, because that's like one of those things. Like I never really realized how much of that was filler because I didn't know the entire Bulma stuff was filler originally. Like I just always assumed that was just in the manga as well. Like maybe just not as much. And
yeah, like a lot of just random character interactions between like a good way to know if you have filler is if like Oolong does something, it's probably filler.
Right, and it's like did Oolong do anything? Filler. Yeah, that's...
See, I mean, Oolong speaks in canon, like in the manga, he speaks, but he never really does anything. So if Oolong does something, it's probably filler.
So yeah, like I said, like, good episodes. Like, I mean, I do agree that the whole, like, it gets a little sleazy with the Bulma panty gag stuff. Like, I mean, like, teenage me, I was just like, yeah, panties. And then, like, adult me, it's just like, okay, that's kind of trashy. I can't even pretend otherwise.
It's nice to know maybe we're maturing a bit in our sensibilities. Who knows?
Right.
Or maybe not. I mean, like, this is like an adult thing as well. I actually don't really know exactly understand Japanese societal standards. I am trying to understand, and I'm not going to immediately call out this stuff and say like, oh no, listen, it needs to conform by our standards because screw culture. But on the other hand, if it's something I'm finding uncomfortable, I'm not just going to give it a free ride because it's another culture. I'm going to say at the very least, according to my cultural standards, I find this uncomfortable. So I'm not going to tell it to change. I'm just acknowledging it where it's there.
Yep. So, okay, I think, are we done talking about episodes?
I think so. I'm just checking my notes. I think I kind of, that was pretty much everything. Just, with the panty stuff, there were 3 Bulma panty shots in one episode, and I'm still keeping that count up.
Yes.
So.
Okay.
Oh, actually, one more thing. Okay, one thing I noticed is, at one point, Goku and Krillin are talking, and then in the background, there's just this random guy who just sort of flies across the screen in the background, just behind Goku and Krillin. And I have absolutely no idea why it happened or who it is. I tried to get a good screenshot, but I think like the way that I couldn't really get a kind of like single frame. It was always like kind of really low quality, and like it would always be like kind of like half frames. But I don't know what it is. I feel like there's some kind of in-joke there or something weird, but it really caught my attention.
Huh. That completely went over my head. I didn't even notice it. So
yeah, I'll find out. So yeah, I think all I'll do is I'll maybe after this I'll go and I'll try and get a screenshot of it and I'll show you because it's just one of those like background scene things.
Right.
It's like weird, like that one time in the manga when Toriyama shows the big reveal shot of the Tenkaichi Budokai grounds, and there's like this like one. I think it's like I can't remember. It's like somebody famous, but Toriyama drew a version of them, and it's like this weird cameo thing. So anyway, something random. That was something to note. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say.
Okay. So, I guess, we've been going on for a while, so let's just run straight into the couple of comments from 2 episodes ago, because that's how we always do this. It's always a 2-episode gap. 1, because that's how we started doing this, and 2, it gives like a week or so for people to actually sit down and watch the whole thing and, actually type in their comments. So, the first comment, alright, I'm not even going to, actually say the person's name, because they kind of made, a douchey comment, and then they got completely tore apart by people in the comment section. So, but basically the person brought up, why make us subscribe to 2 channels when all we want to see is this? I personally don't like her content, but want to watch this. Okay, guys, if you don't like one of us, you don't have to actually subscribe to both channels. No one's forcing you.
We have a playlist.
Yeah, like if you only...
In fact,
if you only like one of us, you could just go to... if you're only a fan of one of us, you can go to the other one's channel just once a week. We upload these pretty regularly around Monday. Sometimes it's her Australian Monday, which is a Sunday, but hey, whatever. And sometimes it's my Monday, which is the American Monday. So... it's, if you just check our channels, you'll see, oh, they put up a new episode. Or, if you don't even want to bother going to one of our channels, you can just check, there's a playlist. There's a playlist, and whenever...
And
whenever...
And in the playlist, we don't just have only the episodes we've got all the episodes in order. So go to that playlist for the channel that you are subscribed to. Go to the playlist, sort of know around Sunday, Monday, you can do that and do it. And if you don't want to subscribe, even want follow one of us on Twitter or something.
Mm-hmm.
What we should do is we should follow we should like retweet our notifications. Yes. So if on Twitter, no matter who uploads it, we'll try and retweet it as soon as possible, so you'll know a new episode comes out as soon as possible. Then you can watch it. Like I said, I mean, I understand if you don't want to subscribe. Like, I mean, I don't make, I don't bring out videos that often, and you don't either, but like still, like I understand.
Yeah, I totally get why someone would want to subscribe to both, but yeah, no one's forcing you to. I mean, it'd be cool if you did. I mean, but only do that if you like both of us individually. You know, so there you go. Alec Toledo said, "Do you guys plan to bring Danny and others for bonus episodes as well?" It's a possibility. I haven't spoken to him yet.
Just so you know, just so you know, Danny is Geekdom 101 for those who don't know everybody's real names like we do.
Yeah, well, the person wrote Danny, so I said say. But it's a possibility. I have been meaning to talk to Danny at some point and see if he wanted to jump in for like a bonus episode, maybe like the first Dragon Ball movie or whatever. But yeah, so I think it's definitely possible for us to bring in other people. I mean, I don't have that many connections in the Dragon Ball fandom. I mean, it's mostly just Gabby, Lance, Danny Geekdom, Quaman, Black and Fist, who I'm pretty sure doesn't actually exist anymore. I think he was retconned from existence.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, he just hasn't uploaded in forever, and nobody talks to him really except for I think Quinn. So yeah. Okay, and all right. Russell Robinson commented. God, I hate these comments so much, but I'm gonna read it so that way everyone has a frame of reference. You both have probably heard this before, but if you want depth, watch Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, great. Oh, and it's also great because they did another comment that says, okay, Hunter x Hunter makes you question the quality of a lot of other shows.
Mm-hmm.
Like, guys, okay, I'm going to, on my soapbox, we have watched Hunter x Hunter. We are choosing to talk about Dragon Ball. That does not mean that we necessarily have our taste is shit, because the show that you think is objectively better is not the one we're talking about. This is our time. We're allowed to talk about what we want. And sometimes we're allowed to watch the things that are not objectively the best, even within their own genre.
Yeah, no, like...
We don't need to compare, and we don't need to compare them. We don't need to constantly lambaste Dragon Ball for not being Hunter x Hunter, because how dare it not be as complex as Togashi's masterpiece. And it's such a masterpiece, that's why he doesn't, go on hiatus all the time, because he needs to write it and make it the best thing ever. Like, seriously. I'm sorry, guys. Okay, like, well, when people do that, I get very...
Oh, no.
I get... It's my pet peeve. Like, I'm just like...
It pisses me off, too.
Just like, guys.
Like, it gets under my skin so much. It's just like, hey, why don't you talk about, like, a better show? It's like, no, fuck you. I'm talking about this show. I want to talk about this show.
Or, like, it's kind of like... The implication, oh, why don't you talk about real shonen anime? This is just a crappy one. Like, I'm just like... No, seriously. Just don't. Like, just... Please just shut up.
Yeah.
We're allowed to talk about what we want, okay? Like, okay. I mean, okay. If you're just doing it from a pure, like, curiosity, like, oh, I don't know what you think about this show, okay, whatever. But if you're doing it when you're like, oh, I mean, like, surely you're only talking about this because you know there aren't better shows out there. Clearly you haven't broadened your horizons. Like, no. We know about other anime, and we choose to talk about Dragon Ball. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's the same with anyone.
Yeah, I'm about to say, like, especially me, because, like, I have been watching anime now for 20-ish years. So yeah, I mean, like, and I have like a huge fucking collection of anime that I personally own. I've watched a lot of shows. People keep trying to get me to watch other shows that they think I would like, and it's just like, guys, let me work through the shit. I'm still working like on backlogs from the 90s, all right? But yeah, no, like, I really I hate that thing of just, hey, have you heard of this thing? I always hate when people bring that up. It's like, hey, have you heard of this show? Yes, I've heard of this incredibly popular mainstream series. Thank you. And that is not like an invitation for people to recommend me obscure random bullshit that they think I might like or that they personally like. I'm just saying, yeah, I've heard of the big popular show that you're trying to recommend me. The other thing I want to bring up is, yeah, no, just because we're talking about Dragon Ball doesn't mean that we think Dragon Ball is the greatest thing ever. It's like, no, like, I have a very long history with this franchise. It's something that is near and dear to me. It's not the best, but it is really good at times. And and as people know, like, I bring up the good and the bad all the damn time, because nothing is perfect. And I think Dragon Ball is a really good example of something that's kind of, watching kind of something, kind of maybe fall apart a little bit or kind of pick itself back up and become better, Yeah, so I don't need to fucking explain myself, even though I did anyhow just now. But yeah, no, those comments are always the most fucking obnoxious. And, ugh.
Okay, let's talk about a good one. Okay, this isn't really like that helpful, but it's just more like something I need to follow up on. And I don't know how this is split up. I'm gonna say damn killing 3, and then they mentioned when I was talking about a moment where the episode the end of episode does. One episode does one thing, and then the start of the next episode repeats it, and then they're like, wait, you mean it was a Gohan Super Saiyan 2 transformation? That is it. You're right. That is what happens. When they do a thing at the end of the episode, he transforms. The start of the episode, they do a recap of that transformation, then they make him transform again in a different kind of scene with different framing and kind of completely different context.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the dumbest things I think Toei ever did. I don't know why they did it. And the rest of that episode actually is pretty good, but that part just almost ruined it.
What was it? Aggro, for the first time, actually got to see that scene in Japanese.
He hasn't seen it before?
And no, he had never seen it in Japanese.
Okay.
He's the dub guy.
Yep.
So, he had never seen it in Japanese. He had never seen it with a Japanese score. So I showed him that scene. He's just like, oh, this is tonally a completely different scene now. I'm like, right? So yeah. That was fun for him to see that for the first time. Because I was just like, here, let me show you this thing. And I showed it to him on YouTube. I have one more comment to bring up. And this is someone asking a question, which I answered for them. But for anyone else who's wondering, why isn't this on the SoundCloud? Like that episode. If you were watching the SoundCloud and, getting episodes from there, we had a bit of an issue to where SoundCloud has like an upload limit by hours, which I didn't know that. And so we already hit the 3-hour limit within 2 episodes. And I can't upload more episodes unless I get like a premium account, which is like $15 a month. And I really don't want to spend that on this, at least not right now. So instead, what we are doing is I'm replacing the SoundCloud idea with just having a Google Drive document. You can, it's in the comments, or it's in the video description. You can click like a full list, and you can have all the episodes like in order. You can just download the ones you want for MP3 purposes, or you can just click like the most recent episode. I'll also have a separate link for the most recent episode, and you can do that. And yeah, so that way you guys have just pure audio downloads. If you guys don't want to watch the video versions, I totally get that. I do the same thing with a few other video podcasts that I listen to. And yeah, it makes it way more convenient. I totally understand why people would want to do that. So yeah, and you can just put it on your iPod or whatever the hell you want, and you can just listen to it at your leisure whenever you feel like and wherever you're at. So there you go. That's all I really had. Anything you wanted to add to this?
Just one more comment, just so you know I'm not above all this and actually talking about this in a proper way. Beautiful Madeline says, Gary talks so fast, I can't keep up with the conversation. Constructive criticism, not meant to be mean. And you know what? No, I can appreciate that. I know that I do that, especially when I get very excited about things, and especially these episodes when I got really excited about things. I know I tend to talk kind of very fast. I'm sorry. I wish I would say I'm trying to work on it. I don't know if I do, because I kind of don't realize I'm talking so fast until because I can understand myself well enough even when I'm talking fast, so I don't realize it until it's too late or until somebody else tells me. And maybe I should have actually thought about this more, and maybe, tell you what, next time I am actually going to try and talk a bit slower. Now, maybe I will try to limit myself. I can't promise anything, but that's important to know. I do want to know. I want to make sure you guys can understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I've never had a problem understanding you, and I'm always hearing like a lower quality version anyhow, because I'm hearing the live chat instead of your recorded audio. So yeah, I mean, I've never had a problem understanding you, but yeah, I mean, if other people are, it sucks for them, unfortunately. But yeah, I mean, we can work towards that and see what happens.
And see, that's that folks.
And don't worry about telling us hey, I'm having trouble understanding you guys. We're not going to get pissy at
I was going to say, like that, folks, is what we call constructive criticism, and that is how you respond to constructive criticism. By actually appreciating it and not just saying, oh, they're just a hater, how dare they say that I'm not perfect.
Right? Oh my god, you can't criticize anything these days. It's oh, you're just hating.
So yeah.
No, I totally get it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And yeah, I will try. I want to make these videos the best they can possibly be. And if that means I need to work on things, I'll try to do that as well.
All right, so I think that wraps up this one.
Yep, and of course it was longer than the other two. You remember the joke where it's like, it's going to be over an hour and a half? Well, yep, it is going to be an hour and a half again. I don't know how long it is specifically, but there were some weird moments there where we all kind of like cut out and stuff. But yeah, okay.
Alright, guys.
God. That was good. Yeah, I love this arc, and I can't wait till we get to more of it.
Yep. Till next time, guys. Zeon out.
Bye, guys.